There appears to be growing anti-Semitism in recent years, coming from both the left and the right. We saw a lot of this on the left during the university encampments and riots. But this is by no means the purview of the left alone. Ted Cruz recently remarked, "I'm here to tell you that in the last 6 months, I have seen anti-Semitism rising on the right in a way I have never seen it in my entire life." And my own experiences match his. Why is this happening? As any good historian will tell you, things happen for a multiplicity of reasons. Certainly, the bloodiness of the war in Gaza contributed. So did Iranian funding for internet bots designed to spread hatred of Israel and the Jews. In addition, I think there was another contributing factor that was inadvertently pushed by many in academia. The woke analysis of social inequality has often insisted that unequal differences in outcomes are due to unequal treatment of the respective groups. If one group does better than another, it must be due to discrimination. In the words of Ibram X. Kendi, "When I see racial disparities, I see racism." This analysis was generally focused on black and white relations in America. If whites were outperforming blacks, it must be due to racist policies or systems. The same is often argued with regard to men and women. If men outperform women in some area, it must be due to sexism or sexist discrimination. As long as white men were the racists and sexists, the narrative was permitted to continue. Now, I am not arguing that there hasn't been unjust discrimination by whites against blacks and men against women. The problem was that any and every difference in outcomes was blamed on discrimination, without any other evidence than the difference in outcomes. But let's now apply that logic to the Jews. The Jews attained to significantly higher levels of wealth, education, political and social influence. Consider the number of Nobel Prizes they've won over the past century. Jews have won about 1/5 of all Nobel Prizes, though they are 0.2% of the world population. How could this be? They can't be inherently superior. That would be racist. Endorsing the excellence of one culture and its values also makes many people uncomfortable and is racist according to some. The unfortunate conclusion, then, that some people reach is that they must somehow be tipping the scales, just like the whites do to outperform blacks and men do to outperform women. Apply Kendi's logic, which is actually illogic, to the case of the Jews, and this is where you'll end up. Now add to that a history of conspiracy theories about the Jews, from the blood libel to the claim that they poisoned the wells to spread the plague, to the protocols of the Elders of Zion, to the Jewish mafia, and you can see that some people are primed to reach this extremely dangerous conclusion. So, what can we do? We need to be vigilant and watching for this. We need to learn how to speak against it effectively. We also need to speak out against dubious claims of anti-Semitism. For example, when criticisms of Israel are labeled anti-Semitic. Crying wolf undermines your credibility. But we also need to stop this flawed logic of concluding that unequal outcomes are always someone's fault. Instead of asking, what bad thing did this group do to get ahead? Maybe we should be asking, what did this group do so well that explains their success? None of this precludes checking out red flags to see if someone has been cheating. Sometimes inequality is due to unjust discrimination. But at the same time, we need to stop assuming that it is nefarious behavior on the part of any group when they enjoy success. There's a long history of doing this. The South Asians in Uganda, Tutsis in Rwanda, the Jews in Germany, the kulaks in Russia. Jews, like any other group, should not be exempt from criticism, but neither should they be subject to the flawed logic of seeing their success as evidence of wickedness. Maybe, on the other hand, we'd all be better served by trying to understand how they've done so well in the face of so many historical challenges. What do you think?